Hello, Gassed, and welcome back to the Rovers Report, where you join me today with Tom once again. And unfortunately, this is going to be a bit of a different video, a bit more of a downbeat video, but I think it's something that, for me personally, I thought was important that we need to cover. I think, Tom, you probably agree with me. And I think most Rovers fans will probably know, you'll have seen the title. There's been a lot of speculation and controversy the last couple of days. And that is, of course, the Jevani Brown signing for Bristol Rovers. So just to sort of have a little look at it from the start, Bristol Rovers have signed Jevani Brown on a 2-year contract following his earlier release from Exeter City this year. I think it's important to say that this isn't something that we want to be talking about, me and Tom. I'd much rather be covering football, and speaking about the season ahead. But, I think sometimes it's important that you voice your opinion on what's happened, and I think this is one of those cases. So this is going to be a difficult one for me and Tom to cover, I think, because it's certainly divided the fan base, and we're not perfect, so some of the things we say initially might not agree with, and I'll hold my hands up and say I will still be attending the game. So that's something you can shoot me down for, but it's a difficult matter, and I'm open to all opinions. But welcome, Tom. I think the best way for me to start this is probably just to sort of give my opinions on this first, and I'll come to you in a second, mate. But for me, I would just like to say that I personally don't think this is a signing that Bristol Rovers should have made. And yeah, I'm not happy that he's joined our club. I think a lot of people's arguments with Barton and things like that were that he's awaiting his trial, but the cold hard facts of this is that he has pleaded guilty to one count of assaulting a woman, and for me, that's not a player that I want anywhere near our club. For those fans that say it's not necessarily that big a thing, or he's a changed man or whatever, I'm not sure you'd feel the same if the woman that assaulted was your mother, your partner, or your daughter. And it shouldn't even have to come to that. But for any of those, don't think it's that big a deal. Just put in your head if that was someone that you loved, and I'm not sure you'd be feeling the same about it. So yeah, for me, it's as simple as that. If you plead guilty to that, accept what you've done, then I don't want a player that has assaulted a woman at my club. Tom, honestly, mate, I appreciate you coming on here. Speak freely on here, but also don't feel like you have to go fully into it. Just whatever you're comfortable with, mate. How do you view this signing personally?
I mean, just echo your sentiments, to be honest, mate. I'm really disappointed in the club with this signing. And yeah, just pretty much I'd like to repeat what you've said. I find it very, very hard to understand why the club have sanctioned this signing. I'm going to sort of have to think personally about how I express my feelings about that. Um, I feel like I've seen some incredibly shocking comments from some fans regarding that sort of thing in general on social media as well. And it seems to be some element of the fan base during this sort of like as a byproduct of this division that it's incredibly nasty. I mean, and I just think we're not really a family club anymore, which is sad because I think we've always prided ourselves on that. It's just an incredibly difficult one to understand. I don't support it in any way whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
And just sort of evaluate personally, something I have to think hard about.
Mm-hmm.
I think Game 2 put out a great statement after the signing. Obviously, speaking about the fact that it is a court case ongoing, they can't really comment on it too much or at all. But more so the fact that they may have to reevaluate their relationship with the club, which is obviously incredibly sad, considering I believe Rovers are one of the founding partners for the movement. So obviously we know how much support that organisation gives. Just generally, it's a great organisation. So I can understand that sort of statement to come from them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just pretty shocked with some of the stuff I've seen from some fans on social media. I mean, not going to read out again on YouTube what I've seen on the likes of Twitter and Facebook over the last 40 hours. Some of it's pretty disgusting, to be honest. So yeah, it's sad that we have to be speaking about this, to be honest, mate. Obviously, we want to be speaking about Rovers and the sort of. I've deep down, we are a great football club. But I think, yeah, it's a very not difficult situation. It's a really shocking situation, to be honest.
Mm,
Um, especially after we made two great signings towards the end of last week, which I think we'll speak about in another video.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, the reality is it's a very sad situation, I think, and I can understand why a lot of people may want to reevaluate how they go about supporting Rovers.
Yeah, I think that's true, mate. And that was for me on the scripts I've got as my next point. The damage that it's actually doing to our club and the fan base. You take away the fact that this player, what he's done, but it does change a lot of things for the club. So first and foremost, this means that it's not going to be a small amount of people here. Quite a large amount of people will no longer attend the games or have an affiliation to the club because of this. And I would argue that that's very rare for any player for it to be worth signing them for that. There's going to be countless number of women, I'm sure, that will no longer attend. There'll be probably a good amount of men as well who won't attend. And I got to say I respect that. If that's how it makes you feel, and your opinion on the club and the fan base has changed because of that, I completely understand that. So yeah, that's one thing, is it's actually going to keep people away. The other thing that you've just touched on there, mate, is the division that it's now going to cause between fans. That should never be what's going on, where you got Rovers fans arguing over on Twitter over someone, assaulting a woman is acceptable. That's never where it should be at. But that's the position we're in now. And like you said, we should be in a position where we're all getting excited. The two signings prior to this were fantastic. Pre-season and the transfer window is typically one of the best times as a fan. You've got that renewed optimism every year that comes around, but it's been overshadowed by this. As you said, it's enabled some shocking comments from our fan base, which are bordering on not criminal, but some of the comments have been extremely distasteful.
Disgusting, mate. Absolutely disgusting. And
Yeah.
it's not been one or two, it's been several.
Mm,
Um, and it's definitely just pretty shocking. You would never expect, I guess, to come. You wouldn't want to read that sort of stuff.
no,
Uh,
no, definitely not. It's one of those, isn't it, where you think in your head people can't actually think like that still, but there's plenty out there.
it's just, yeah, acceptable.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And then I
Sorry.
think I was just going to say the final thing that I've got written on my notes is that actually I was saying this to you off camera, but some might consider this a minor thing. You look further down the line, sort of 3, 5, 10 years, you're going to have people that will choose not to bring their kids to Rovers. Our reputation is dramatically going down. And like I said, 10 years down the line, you might have a parent who goes, should I take my kids to Rovers, take them to City? Should I let them support Man United? And the dad or the mum might go, oh, hold on a second. I remember Bristol Rovers when I was a bit younger. They were the team that signed that player, that did that. And, it all adds up. So the damage it's doing to our club and our fan base, it seems quite significant for me. And again, I just question, is that worth it for one player?
No, not at all. I think the club's made the wrong decision,
Mm,
as we both said.
yeah, exactly. And then, I think this is the final point I just want to touch on. And I'll be interested to hear what you guys have to say, because I think this is an extremely difficult part of it. What can we do and what do we do as a Rovers fan to, sort of vent our frustration or show that we, disagree with this opinion? And it's hard, mate. It's hard. I think for me personally, I will hold my hands up and say it's not going to stop me going to the games. Another interesting question to ask, which again, people might call me a hypocrite, and I don't actually know the answer to this. If Jevani Brown scores a winner, am I going to celebrate? It's easy for me to sit here now in my living room and say I'm not going to celebrate. But when you're surrounded by 1,000 other fans, I used to say I'd like to believe that I would have the sort of, I don't know what the word is, the bravery not to, but I can't guarantee that. People aren't perfect, and that's what I want to get across. you know, a lot of people say, well, stop watching them. In my opinion, it's not as easy as that. This is, one of the greatest enjoyments of my life. Been going since I was a young boy, so it's not as easy as that. But yeah, I mean, what's your thoughts on this?
Something I have to think long and hard about, mate, to be honest. I'm moving away from Bristol anyway for work. So in terms of going to games in person, I think I was never going to go to as many anyway. But I think it's obvious, as you said, it's not an easy decision to make. How you express your frustration and anger. So it's something that I'm going to have to think about over the course of pre-season, to be honest. Yeah, I think it's not something you can make a decision about. I guess, well, you can make a decision about it straight away, to be honest. I think I can understand why some people may do that. Others may take a little bit of time
Yeah,
to think about how best they want to sort of express this. Obviously, going to football is extremely beneficial for people's mental health. That's a great example of why Rovers has been so good over the years. But I think it's definitely going to be difficult for me to be as passionate. I think,
yeah,
and how I express that is, as I say, is something I'm going to have to think deeply about over the coming days. To be honest.
yeah. No, I really appreciate that, mate. 'Cause, it's not an easy topic to talk about, and it's sort of putting yourself out there for the public to talk about. But ultimately, like we said, mate, I think this is something that we both wanted to speak about. Don't get me wrong, for the people that are debating this, probably with the exception of the horrible comments, if you're arguing for Jevani Brown, um, I, I'm not that I'd agree with it, but some points of it, I can understand how people might come in and say, we all make mistakes, things like that. I get it. There's a nuanced argument for me. I understand that, but in my opinion, what he did and has admitted to doing is wrong. And for that reason, I personally do not want him at our club. But it's happened now. So as you said, we're going to have to think about it going forwards. It's not going to stop me going to games. It's not going to stop me covering games. But yeah, it's something we're going to have to think about. But as I said, mate, I appreciate you coming on, and hopefully in the future, well, I know we will. We're definitely going to have a few more positive videos. So hopefully when we get back together, mate, we'll be discussing a new signing, or at worst, one of our better players leaving. But I pray and fingers crossed that we don't have to deal with this again, mate.
Yeah, I agree with that, mate. Yeah,
Well,
completely.
thank you guys for watching, and yeah, like I said, let us know your thoughts on this. Obviously, a very difficult issue, but I want to hear your opinion. So, thank you for watching. Thank you for coming on, Tom, and I'll see you guys later.